Oh, hello, Ron. So first of all, thanks Active for accepting my talk. I didn't really expect to be accepted, so it's really nice to be here. And as well, thanks for the sponsors for keeping this event going. I've been going on this for last 8 years, and it's been a wonderful event, and I'm really happy to see how much it's grown. So it's nice to stand here and give something back to the community. So, a little bit about me. Degree in computer science, engineering, and for the last 9 years, I'm almost solely only been doing office and security. And breaking a little bit of everything, but of course ATM as well. So a little bit about why I like ATM at least is it's so goal-oriented. Normally when you're on a pen test like the directory, or if you're doing like web application testing, it's not so easy to know when you reach the goal. But when you're standing there, two people, pen testers, looking at a vault with money, everyone is really clear what they want to do. They want to get that money out of it. And you also got the aspect of it being a little bit of every part of the offensive security community. You have the hardware hacking, you have the physical security, a little bit lockpicking or more creative stuff just to doing the physical security part. And of course, you have the antivirus evasion, the kiosk breakouts, and all of these extra fun events, at least I like in the community. So I'm going to share at least some lessons learned while I'm doing some ATM hacking and some of the flaws I've seen. See if this works. Perfect. Nope. Still the same as. I think I need to restart. Good. So, but you see on the news, there are many ways to open an ATM. So you don't need to make it difficult. I mean, you can just get a forklift, take it home. I mean, it's not that, you don't need to make it difficult. Or if you're a good excavator operator, you can just dig them out. And this was on a heist in Ireland, they'd done a lot of them, so there were actually quite a lot of them. And the fun with this one is I got the CCTV footage, so you can actually see how fast it's done by a skilled operator. It's not his first time. And you have to give compliments to the small cars. Few 100 pounds on that tension. I don't think you need to tap. I mean, I think he knows it there already. And I mean, you can also use power tools or explosives. But then you get the side effect of colored bills or maybe not all of them being there when it's on the way out. So there are many ways with it. As you see, if these are the people in the front, I bring some metal rulers, and there's some sentimental value of them. So I will talk a little bit more about them later, how I use them to break into ATMs. So, short history from at least to understand what's happening on the scene. From 1960, I think it was IBM and some other big players building the first ATMs. And a lot have happened since. But if you speed it up to the 1990s, there was a big shift in how it's supposed to be done for the ATM vendors. Every bank had their own customized software. Every middleware was customized talking to a vendor that has their own customized software on the bank. So it was really hard to change the vendors for the banks. So they got together and thinking, we need to standardize this. We need to put standardization on the ATMs so we can easily shift them out. And we can easily have the same middleware for dispense cash. So what happened was a lot of mergers from these 15 vendors going down to the last, I think from 2018, it was only 4 vendors left. So this is actually a really good thing for our attackers. Because now you can only, if you get one attack working of one of these ATMs, it will actually work almost on all of them. And if 99% of the players are these ones, you can almost expect your exploits to work when you're on site for almost all ATMs. So we really like standardization on the hacking side. We're really grateful for it. And when you're starting to doing this, you will encounter a lot of XFS. And that's the European Committee for Standardization Extensions for Financial Service. It's a little bit like the Java mantra. You write it once and it runs everywhere. But what it basically is, it's a middleware, standardization middleware API for talking to the dispensers. So the bank can easily send a request so the person can dispense its money. But this is so great, because then you have this FXS working almost everywhere. So if you start GitHub searching SSF, ATM, jackpotting is when you're able to dispense all the cash from an ATM, even without a card. So it's what we're all looking for. For the modern ATM, you have little bit this is the key part. You can expect a receipt, somewhere to put the card, somewhere to put the PIN. And on the bottom part, there is normally 4 boxes with the cash, of course, the dispense. And you have one React Pi box when someone forgets to take their money. I don't understand how someone can forget it. Or when the dispensary take out maybe too many bills, so it has somewhere to put them into, some kind of discard bracket. And you will have cameras and everything. But today you have so many more features on an ATM. You have sending gift cards, or you can even there's so many new features on it, different countries introducing. But we will skip that for now and focus on the basics. Here's a video of showing inside the ATM. And here's a little bit of the Scooby-Doo moment when you reveal inside of it, and you see it's just a normal PC there, running a standardized x86 system. Before it was Windows Compact CE, but I'm lucky enough to not been able to find one of those. So it's been a normal x86 case with all the vulnerabilities that those enclose. So before it was Windows XP, now it's more secure with Windows 7, so there's no troubles no longer. And you will see it's just a normal PC. For the people wondering what that black box in the corner is, it's a CD-ROM. Maybe you can ask a neighbor what it's used for. And otherwise, you will see everything is going to this powered USB extension box for all the card readers or the receipts. So it basically communicates a lot of them. And the generalized pins and outs for it for detection of tampering detection or open or closed case. You will see a lot of those. But it's nothing really special inside, so you will be surprised when you open it, thinking this is just another offensive security operation. So, back to the mantra. So let's use doing this. Almost all ATM, at least the easiest ones, you start with physical access. And of course you want to take the easiest way into it. And that's through the physical part. Then you don't have to hack the bank, you can just focus getting access to this PC. And you normally have the service part on top, and you have the wall part on the ground. What you don't maybe normally think about here is, at least here in Sweden, we put them a lot in concrete, so it's not so easy to access. But all over the world, when you're in Portugal or Mexico or Japan, they will be in malls. And they do put them more standalone, but often there is a lot of reason behind it. You have a lot of cameras. You don't only rely on the 2 cameras inside ATMs. You have a lot of more detection. And you're thinking here someone will call if something happens. So there is a little bit reasoning to how you're thinking when you're doing like this. So let's get into it. I mean, the bottom part, it's actually one of the better designs, I think. I wouldn't start with it, but of course it's possible to use power tools, drill into it, depending on your profession, of course. But it's not the easiest way in. So normally you just skip it and go straight to the top part. Because the top part, you need to service it, you need to change receipts, you need to add money, you need to take care of everything inside, so maintenance. And it doesn't have a vault. It's more like ridiculous low pin keys that's used into it. You can have anything from sometimes magnets to open the case to I will show later, the rulers. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways. And I think if you tried lockpicking, I think we have some lockpicking booths here in SecT. Go by and try out. You will not be surprised how easy it is to open up this. And if you don't succeed, just go buy the keys on Alibaba, because you have the vendors here selling them to all banks. So just figure out your model and just have the key instead. So even sometimes you have the vault keys selling as well. Maybe you can't find your model, but a lot of them have, and you can get a feeling for the complexity of the keys. It's not too bad. So, these rulers, it's a short story about it. Actually, I used them for one of my first ATM assignments. I was with a friend in Europe, Slovenia, and we did an ATM site. And it was also his first ATM mission to do. And we're starting on the back, and we start looking at the ATM, and it's like, oh, it might be possible. And we used a plastic ruler just to try to see if we could flip the switches on the behind to access. So all the top path just went forward for service mode. And it broke, and he was like, oh, but we have metal rulers in the gift shop here beside the bank. So we just go and buy them, and we was able to open up in front of the bank's security people, just going in with the 2 metal rulers, switching it in, and getting full access to it. He was not so happy. I want to show more pictures of it, but due to legal reasons, I have decided not to go into more details how it's done. So we skip ahead to the software side. So, I mean, it's an x86 environment. I mean, you can even see Windows XP running, so you know it's good. You don't need anything else. So, I mean, it's security in layers. You need to have a good protection of all sides. You start with even locking down the USB ports to make sure you can't use a standardized keyboard and mouse directly to the PC. Sometimes it's done, sometimes not. And the same with BIOS. You need to close it down. You need to have good app locker rules, whitelisting of applications allowed, a good kiosk environment that's not so easy to just tab out. Because you will have on the screen, you will see this display will take out money. Behind it is just a normal Windows system running. And of course, disk encryption is very important. And that's what surprised me the most. I think I asked around a little bit, and we seem to have the same numbers. Only around 30% of the ATMs bother with encryption the disk. So you just take out the disk, get the password from it, or implement a backdoor, and then you're good to go. Just put the disk back. It's so crazy it's not more enforced. And more lessons I've seen on this software-wise, they use the ATM as well as a backup for the camera. So it takes a pictures maybe every 5th second or every 10 seconds to store on the drive before sending back to the back. So it's okay, I guess. I don't know what GDPR and everything else like that. But the sad part is it also stores all the credit reader transactions. So normally you have a long list with hundreds or thousands credit card transactions where you can see how much they've taken out, which credit card number, when it expired, how much the balance was, everything that sends over the wire. We'll see a request of it a little bit later. So smart hackers on this, they actually don't even jackpot to take out the cash from it. They just install the malware and send home these credit card numbers from the log files. So you get thousands or hundreds of new credit cards each day to sell on the black market. So that's also something I've seen as well. So network part, it's a bit more wider attack surface, depending on where they stand. Normally when it stands in a mall, you will see it's only a very small metal case. And even there you will have that the service guy sometimes break the locks just so it's easier to service because he forgets the key. So it's ridiculous. And inside of these cases there are some routers, so the ATM can easily connect back to the bank. And those routers, sometimes just homemade routers or some really not corporate solution. So you can have 0 days to get good access into the router, or you can just plug in your device directly from the TP cable hanging outside the ATM, just to store and start listening on the wire what's exposed to this. And there's very high difference how they treat their software running on these ATMs. Some has really good lockdown, the whitelisting is top notch. And then you have companies who put in TeamViewer, open up more ports, even exposing the cameras from the ATM. So if you're on the network, you can connect and get a full video stream of the camera straight ahead, and the one looking down to see if you're taking out your money. But the side effect is that you see which person it is, you see the credit card going in, you see the PIN code he enters. So it's sometimes just enough to be on the same network. And of course, sometimes they even allow normal SMB login on these machines. So it's very different how it's treated. However, I think most of them is doing the network segmentation right, because if you are at one ATM, it's not so easy to see all the other ATMs on the network. So it can be good to, if you want to see more ATMs, I think you need to get back on the back-end side of the bank network. Here is a fun picture. See if it's even readable. I don't expect you to follow it too much. But this is basically what's sent between the ATM if you open Wireshark and connect to it. And you see that you will see one part that's almost like the receipt you will get from the ATM machine. But when you start to study the numbers up here, you will get that how much the value was. You will even see your credit card showing which it was sent. And then you will have how many bills from which box. So I think it's used to keep track of how many bills is left in the ATM. So if it's big bills in one dispense box, then it can at least count down. I think it's only sent a signal when it's empty. So I think they don't have any good system to know if it's like 2/3 left in the ATM or something like that. And what else is fun to the wire? Yes, you have these GPIO connections with the tamper switchers, the shaker sensors, and everything like that. Those are mostly sent encrypted, what I've seen over the network from the ATM. So if you've been able to catch the signal, you can drop the package, or maybe you can manipulate it as well if it's some kind of heartbeat signal. But most of them you can see. Yes, and then we have the hardware part. I think that most of the common vulnerabilities in this is the lack of mutual authentication. It's basically that the cash dispensary knows that it's talking to the right PC and PC is talking to the right cash dispensary. So it's often only implemented in the cash dispensary. So that part is normally quite good. But you don't put it into the card reader or PIN code reader. So you will see all of this manual attacks with normal, just a Raspberry, just to catching the card reader data. So you just plug it in through both sides of USB and just read the clear text data and send that over the wire back to the attacker. And another thing It's not so easy to think as it's a bad thing, but you have so much space inside of these ATMs. I mean, you can even hide a quite large laptop inside without any trouble. So it's quite hard sometimes to see these hidden devices inside of the ATMs. It's not something you really think about. You will have this documentation. It's a whole mess inside of it. It's some technician have left it for years. It's not so much love inside of it. And then, of course, you have these tamper switches that's sending off the clear text. So, all vendors know about most of these vulnerabilities. It's nothing new. They send out to the banks that you need to implement disk encryption. You need to do all of this protective stuff with the whitelisting, locking it down. But it's up to the banks if they want to follow the documentation. So it's very different for each assignment, of course. But it's nothing new from the vendor side. So it's not like you call in and trying to get something new from them. They just say they know, and they're just more disappointed at the bank. And as well, of any engagement, you need to document it. Because you will have a lot of people will say, oh, that's not possible, that's not right. So, like the meme say, if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. And they don't care about the vulnerability. And of course, if you don't want to attack the ATM, you just want to sit home from your comfy keyboard, you can always do like some other big attacks, just spear phishing the email to the bank, trying to get your foothold to the system, trying to get your administration account for the ATMs, and connect directly to them. Sometimes you just remove the withdrawal limit on the card or overdue limit, so you can just take a stolen card and just take out lots of money. Or you can get admin access directly on all the ATMs. So you can just call your runner who wants to stand in front of it when it starts spitting out the money. And then, of course, the final part, how you're going to launder it. I think that's not so easy today, so what you're going to do with 2 million cash. So, something to think about. If time is money, then his ATM is a time machine. Maybe. So, recap on this. Really, I can't stress it enough. Get written permission from the bank. We really discourage you to go out and try it before getting any kind of paperwork on it. Because even when you're doing this in malls, you can do it on the ATM inside the bank first, and then you want to go and try someone out the field. There will be people with guns showing up, thinking, what are you doing? And then it's good to have the right people with you on the assignment and all the paperwork in order, because otherwise you will have a long night in jail. And then again, you have a lot of features to maybe don't think about. There are microphones inside ATMs, also will record anything close to it. You have the shake sensors when it's starting to move, if you're trying to drill inside to it. And all the money in it, it's quite a lot of money inside of it. It will take a long time to get it out. So it's not that easy. So rightfully discourage any try it yourself attacks. So what else? Yeah, and if you feel that the excavator license is too much work to attend, or if lockpicking is not your thing, or if maybe it's just too hard, I think. There is a Swedish comedian who found another way to steal someone else's money.
fungerar, vad gör du?
Va?
Vad fan gör du?
Vadå?
Ja, men du tog ju mina pengar.
Nej.
Jo, det gjorde du. Jag såg ju det.
Nej, men det här är mina pengar. Du förstår, automaten är försenad. Det ligger ett snäpp efter. Så nästa gång kommer dina pengar.
Det var det dummaste jag har hört. Kan jag få hit mina pengar nu?
Alltså, du kan gå in på banken och fråga om du inte tror mig. Men alltså, jag har väldigt bråttom. Jag har inte tid med det här.
Ja, men lägg av nu. Jag knappade in 500 kronor. Det där är mina pengar. Vill du ringa polisen, eller?
Nej, jag tror inte det. Jag bara chansar. Går det så går det. Du tar inte illa upp, eller hur? Jag såg en öppning och så högg jag till. Ja.
It's a simple way. So, thank you for listening, and a shout out to my colleagues who helped me with the graphic, Christian, Matilda. And if you don't get your question answers this short time, so I will be standing at the Basalt booth and just being there in the afternoon and tomorrow. Just come by and talk if you're more interested into ATMs. So I open up the floor for some small questions.
First of all, thank you. Yeah, I think we have something like 3 minutes if you want to do questions. So you say there are four vendors for almost all of them. And those are the 4 vendors that are being used in Sweden as well?
Yes.
So the ruler thing does still work here?
I think so.
You think so?
So
right.
I had to remove the slides.
All right. And how long does it take for you to get all the money out of?
I mean, you have 3 boxes with, it takes a lot of time. I mean, you have around 2,500 bills in each box. It takes maybe 50 of these you can get each time, and it takes 20 seconds. So I think you will be waiting for a good 1 hour and a half before finishing it. So you could actually sometimes see on this heist that people walking by and there are still bills outside the ATM. It's just they didn't want to wait longer and just ran away. And the Good Samaritan actually giving a call when they find hundreds of thousands of euros on the ground in front of the ATM. That's a good guy calling in.
Awesome. And what was the reaction of the bank when you told them or showed them?
It was a quick meeting with a lot of people that they wanted to stop testing in the public, and they wanted to take us a little bit where less people could see when the testing was done. So they did it discouraged as well.
Fantastic.
And
I think we have like 1 minute. Yeah, there are mic runners, right? There's no one with a.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make. Can you shout or tell the next person that tells the next person that tells the next person?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Sorry.
So come by and give me a talk around the corner.
Yeah, thank you then very much,
Thank
Fredrik.
you.